And it's fear based on other people's judgments.
Yes.
We fucking talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this shit. Maybe somebody doesn't actually believe it, but they're afraid what everybody else is going to think of them for having their own opinion. So they fucking play along the game.
And it is like it's extremely frowned upon. Like there's no room for the gray area. It's like you're either with us or you're with us.
Yeah.
And like you have to choose. And that's why I think too, a lot of people are like for me, I'm just speaking for myself personally. Like I get so I don't know.
Hey everyone, welcome to Everybody Love Everybody. We got an awesome episode for you guys today. As I'm sure you guys are all aware, Greta Thunberg and the climate change movement ordeal has basically taken over the internet. And there's a lot of different opinions on it and a lot of memes going around, and I think a lot of actually misinformation going around. So Katy and we just wanted to talk about it because we've been talking about it amongst ourselves, like at home, and it can be a touchy subject, especially. It's funny how it turns into, I don't know, like from my perspective, almost like I get nervous about the man and woman type conversation, like how like even we can have such, like, I don't know why that's a thing about this, because it's Greta, a 16-year-old Swedish young lady, and I don't know. There's lots of stigma around.
What do you mean with man and woman?
Well, like, because I get, like, I've seen that meme. I was telling you about it before about, like, men are afraid of a 16-year-old woman. And then lots of the other women I see on my Facebook start reposting that. And I don't know. It's just, I can see how it can be a touchy thing. Because I can see that side. But on the other hand, I can see, like, fuck, come on now. Like,
I have so many like feelings on the inside right now about this one. I was just talking. I don't have much clarity. I thought that by the more information that I tried to collect for making this podcast and for myself, like the more I read and the more videos I watch, I thought that would give me more clarity. But I honestly feel even more torn.
Well, no, I think, just from my perspective of viewing you, I feel like you almost had perception or a viewpoint on it beforehand, and now that we've done more research, you've kind of like opened your mind up a little bit. I think, and
what was my perception?
Well, like, yeah, what she's doing is good and all that, and it is good.
Well, I wasn't so much it was her. I believe in her.
Yeah.
But I was unclear and not sure about her message. I believe like it's hard not to get excited and feel amped up, especially when you see someone who is so young. And I truly believe that she believes what she's saying, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And I'm thinking also as a mother now, like, well, like, what can I be doing in my part? So it's so easy to get carried away with one side. So like I started listening to more of her videos. She has her own page on Facebook, and I just started like just binge watching all of them, just because I wanted to actually get to know what her message is. So, and I am naturally like this protection comes up for me. Like I want to protect her because there's media out there that are like,
which I think is like a natural women's perspective. They want to,
they're demonizing the 16-year-old,
Yeah.
and I feel like they're attacking the wrong person.
Okay, well, let's go into a little bit of what we did find out and what we do know. And everything we say on this is just our opinions. We're not trying to press our opinions on anybody else or anything like that. We're just having an open...
Our opinion, and also just resources that we found. So whether it's true or not, like, that's the thing. It's like we'll be stating it, but we'll make sure we state it clearly, whether this is our opinion or whether we've gotten it from outside sources. Because I think that's important.
Well, basically everything will have gotten from outside sources, and then, yeah.
Well, no, because like I have my point of view, like my point of view, my point of view, and it's not like I read it on something. It's something that like I feel within me, right? And I feel like people forget that, especially with big topics like that. They're expressing their opinion as if it's fact, and I think that's so important. That's why doing this, I really want to be careful and tread lightly, making sure like I want to remain unbiased. I just want to discuss it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's such a good way to live life. Like I try to, and I know you do too as well, live my life with an open mind and not just such black and white thinking. There's always multiple perspectives
There's
to anything.
so many gray areas, especially yes. Yeah.
And you hit a good point there too, because one thing that I've noticed, and having to do with this subject, or even the elections coming up here in Canada, and so many people are getting their fucking information from memes on the internet. No, honestly, like I can't believe how many people think they know all this shit about a topic or subject, and they're just getting it from a fucking meme that they read on Facebook
and we
or
don't
on
even
Instagram.
know who made that. It could have been a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
It's just, not that a 12-year-old can have a good an opinion, but it's just like we don't like check your sources.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so basically what we do know is, Greta Thunberg's 16-year-old Swedish young lady. She basically, what I found out is how this all kind of got started. The movement was she had heard something about it in school, and she has Asperger's, and it really caught her attention, and I guess one of the...
To be honest too, like right there, like I'm going to, like I feel like this is going to be a really interesting podcast for us, because I feel like already, like I'm a little bit, like I hate that the fact that she has Asperger's is such a important part of this conversation. Like that actually really irritates me, and I get that you're just stating the facts, but like I feel like she's being attacked because of that as well. Like
I didn't mean it in a negative way or anything.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to just let it fly, man. Let it go.
So she has Asperger's, and with that, one of the symptoms is she will, or people can, get really involved and like hyper focused on whatever the subject is, or whatever they're getting into. So she, the following week, she had set up basically like a climate strike, and it was just her by herself outside of her school with basically like a picket sign. And it just so happened that this journalist was walking by right at that exact moment and took this picture, put that up on his blog or his vlog or whatever, and it started gaining traction, when really, from, again, sources I found on the internet, he actually had ties to the family. So it seems like this was all like very pre-orchestrated, her doing that on the specific day, him, walking by, taking the picture. And fair enough. I don't really see anything wrong with that. They're setting it up. They're trying to make a move. Like, it is what it is. I don't really see a big deal with that, but it's definitely not as maybe organic as it was played out to believe. So going from that and then into the other information we've got, like, it's so easy to agree with like what she's doing on the climate change, and I don't know, it's tough because it's for a good cause. So then I think people automatically, if they have good heart or they have good whatever and want to help protect the world and stuff like that, it's super easy to jump on the bandwagon basically. Without necessarily having any other facts. So, like, they're almost like turning this into kind of like a cultish type thing.
Well, it's extremely fear-based, and they're wanting us it is constantly repeated. Like, this is a crisis. Our house is on fire.
Yeah.
Act as if the house is on fire. And I feel like no solution, like nothing has ever been solved, like in that mindset. Like in order to actually to create change, like nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen to that because it scares them. People get uncomfortable as well, right? So I feel like I see where they're coming from, because especially from Greta's point of view, like she's singing her heart out, and she's like truly believes in what she's talking about in her cause. And it seems to her, I mean, it's like nobody's listening. So now she's starting to get even more and more emotional. Like there was like one, I can't even remember, like she's been to so many different conferences and spoken at them. And like there was the one where she was like, and it's been memed about and mocked about, like, how dare you? And she kept going on. And I feel like that makes people extremely uncomfortable. And And for me, like even watching it, like I know that there's a lot, emotion makes people uncomfortable. And I don't think that was, in my opinion, like a very smart way of going about it. Cause I find people just shut off. A lot of people can tend to shut off when they hear that. And especially because it's a sense of attacking. Like, well, you failed, that's you. And
well, and they got this thing going on.
Divide.
Basically, the world's ending. You know,
Yeah.
in a decade, the world's going to start coming to an end. And again, my opinion here, like the world's not fucking ending. Like, there is climate change happening. Is it all human caused? I don't necessarily believe that. I do believe that humans definitely have a factor in it.
We're definitely not doing our part. Like, I mean, I know there's people out there doing their part, but a lot of us, including me, the earth has always taken care of us. It's always got our back, but we don't necessarily always have the earth's back and taking care of it and giving back. We definitely do take it for granted. And I think there is a lesson in that. Like, there are things that we could be doing as humans that could, I don't know if it would stop anything from happening with the CO2 emissions and stuff, but I definitely think it's important. It's an important lesson. Like, there's things that we could be doing that could be helping the earth. I don't think that we are benefiting it in many ways.
Yeah, for sure. And
like,
with technology advancing so fast, like especially in the last decade, in the last 2 decades, like we are advancing so fast. But I truly believe, like, the world goes through cycles. This isn't the first time this has happened, and I'm sure it won't be the last time. Like, the world's been around for fucking billions of years, and I don't know how the oldest dinosaur bones are, but they're fucking old as shit. And there was hot and cold shit going on there too. So there's this other article that I had found, and this is actually a NASA article. And this is the kind of shit that we don't hear about. So we always hear about the Antarctica, all the fucking ice is melting, and, climate change, blah, blah, blah. So this article here says mass gains of Antarctic ice sheet greater than losses. So NASA's actually coming out and saying from their satellite pictures that, yeah, we are losing lots of ice that's melting and et cetera. But in the winter months, it's actually regenerating and creating more than it's actually losing. Mm-hmm. And I never knew this before, like today. It's just like I said in my head, all we see on the internet is, oh, fucking the Arctic is melting and skinny ass polar bears going by. And well, it's true.
Well, it's not funny, but it's true though. Like, you see the absolute worst of the worst. It's like, okay, this again, like I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but it's just like those videos they put out with like all these starving kids in Africa, and I literally have this picture that all of them people there are literally dying as we speak. And then I watch, I can't remember, I think it was a TED Talk, and there was this woman who was African American, and she talked about how, like, when she came here to go to school and stuff, and a lot of people were shocked, like had this image like, well, like, how is your family like surviving and blah blah blah, and like just the impression that we only get, it's like very black and white, we only get one image, and it's like this. And it's the same with climate change. It's like, no, like we are dying. Like, there's no gray areas.
Well, and you got to think,
it's very extreme.
You got to think about this perspective too. How fucked up the media is and the news outlets are, and what they try to feed the masses, right? And so, like, we were talking about this before, and I was talking about this with my buddy. How, like, do you think the government's gonna allow all the news outlets and all that shit to be publicly putting out this Greta Thunberg? Like, it's everywhere right now. So it's on somebody else's agenda. Like, the government's, in a way, like, here's a theory, like, want this. Like, this is on their agenda. They're trying to.
It's a playing part. Like
they're playing a part. Like, the elites or the ones in the powerhouse areas. If they didn't want this out there, they wouldn't be putting it. They'd fucking put a cap in Greta or something, like.
Yeah. Well, that's
straight
horrible,
up, though.
but it's true. Yeah. Yeah. I am not one. I don't like. See, Jamey's better. Thank God he had the storyline. Like, I've listened to it over and over and over again, but because I don't have all the information, and I don't like to sit here and pretend like I've read all these articles and know this stuff. I found I just get really overwhelmed when I read it. So for me, I just want to stay in tune. I think knowledge is power and it's super important, but I don't want to sit here and pretend like I was like, oh, I need to like remember all these names and these dates and I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. Like, I just need to show up. I don't want to misrepresent that I like know all this stuff. Like, I think also on our Facebook page, I had asked a live video and asked like, what is everyone's opinion? And I was not surprised that not many people interact with it because it is a touchy subject, but the ones that were like, they pose such good questions and everyone has their own opinion. And I think this is like we already discussed, like this is such a big topic, so that me and Jamey just sitting here talking about it, I feel like it doesn't do it enough. Like, I think there could be like future episodes on this, because I would love to actually bring on guests and stuff in here, because the people everyone has like such a mouthful to say about this, and I think it's all valid. Like, no one is right and no one is wrong. I think we need to take all of that information and really consider it all as a whole.
Well, and that's just it. Like, because we and myself, I did not do that much research on this. I've been looking at this for a few days, kind of digging into it a little bit because we knew we were doing this podcast. But that's where I come from. How can so many people have such a strong opinion on something when really majority of people haven't really done any fucking research on it? It's just a little bit from what other people say, or like I said, the memes that they've seen. So it's not so black and white like we were talking. Like, I don't understand how people can't just have a little bit more of an open mind to different perspectives. Like, it's not one way or the other. Like, maybe a little bit's right here, a little bit's right here, and like make up your own decision on it. And maybe that decision is you don't really know, like Katy and I.
Well, and I think too, part of that is like, I'm too afraid to actually have like, okay, this is what I believe, because I know no matter what I decide, I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. I know there's going to be thousands of people just ready to jump down my throat and tell me why I'm wrong. And I think that is one of the main reasons why so many people are avoiding this topic, and I think that's why that's not even with climate change. That's everything. It's like human behavior.
Well, and again, and it's like, fear based on other people's judgments.
Yes.
We fucking talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this shit. Maybe somebody doesn't actually believe it, but they're afraid what everybody else is going to think of them for having their own opinion. So they fucking play along the game.
And it is like, it's extremely frowned upon. Like, there's no room for the gray area. It's like, you're either with us or you're with us. Yeah. And like, you have to choose. And that's why I think too, a lot of people are like, like for me, I'm just speaking for myself personally. Like, I get so like, I don't know. Like, I think you have good points and I think you have good points. And like, I can't make that decision because I feel like it's changing constantly. And I don't think that this particularly I'm a very spiritual thinking person. I'm not like this, like I'm so spiritual. That's not what I meant, because that's how it comes across when I said that. I realize that. But what I mean is, I tend to look at things, well, what is really happening here? Like, what is this really trying to tell us? I believe that there's messages. I believe we all have a purpose when we come here. And I truly believe that we are all here to be...
Spit it out.
We're here, like, this thing, this image, this climate change, war, all of that is all here for our attention. It's trying to get our attention. And rather than we're taking it and doing the exact opposite. I feel like the silver lining is to create oneness, to bring us back together. But instead of us stopping and slowing down and actually listening to one another with compassion, we're attacking each other, and it's just creating a bigger divide. We're just going, nope, fuck you guys. Yep. And
just repeating old patterns. And humans been doing this shit since the beginning.
And we're still not learning our lessons. And I think we don't all have to agree with each other. Like, we can still have, but we really aren't seeing each other as human beings anymore. And I think the condition of the earth is a good, really big mirror and reflection of what we're doing to ourselves. And
lots of it. Okay, there is good, because we were talking about this too. I work at a company that works on the water, and they started taking away plastic straws, and I'm like, okay, cool, like sure, it's
so many people are so annoyed by it though.
I don't know.
They're
well,
like,
it's
what
just
the fuck.
Let me continue here. It's just I kind of get it, but at the same time, I don't fucking get it. And again, something that I learned just today is that 95% of the ocean's plastic garbage that's being put into the ocean comes from 10 fucking rivers. Like, I didn't know that. I just, like, we make it seem like, oh, it's everybody, you know, we're in North America, and actually, like, we're pretty good. 95% of the ocean's plastic pollution is coming out of 10 rivers in, like, Nigeria and Africa and, like, those areas. So it's like that really put some shit into perspective for me when we're up here going, oh, we're going to stop using plastic straws. Like, I don't.
But at the other side of that, I have to disagree, because I feel like that's, again, it's just another way of being like, see, it's your fault, and pointing the blame. And it's like, regardless of where 95% of it's coming, we still aren't doing our part. Like, we still are contributing to that plastic. And I feel like that's what we're missing. It's like, yes, that sucks, but we still are responsible. We still have responsibility to this earth and to teaching our children certain things. And, like, I'm saying that, but here I am, like, I buy products that come in plastic bags, and yes, we put it in recycling, but, like, not always.
And I get what you're saying. I meant it more as it's just fluff. It makes it look good to the public. A big company, stopping using plastic straws. It's just fluff. Actually fucking do something is what I'm getting at. Like, why aren't we putting all the focus and energy into those, cleaning up those 10 rivers that are producing most of the garbage into the ocean? Right? Like, it's such a game to the public and to the masses to make themselves look good, these big companies. And
well, it comes down to everything, and I hate saying it because it's so, but everything is run by money. So how is that going to earn people money, right? Yeah. That's just going to be a loss for them. And people have to, and it starts with even me, like I was talking about, it's like, I can sit here and talk and, like, show up to the marches and try to spread awareness, but really, like, the biggest thing I could do is go grab a bag and go to the beaches and just start picking up garbage. And I don't need to fucking Facebook it. I don't need to announce it. Just, like, this is literally what I could be doing.
Just know for yourself.
Just start doing it. Like, no more. And I feel like that's what it is like, we're all talk, but none of us are actually doing. Even the ones that are on the side of, like, believe so much in this climate change and that are on Greta's side, which, like, I'm not picking any sides, but how much are you guys actually doing on your day-to-day life to make a difference?
Again, and there was another meme that I saw, and it was after one of their Greta's climate change rallies, and I think it was in Toronto, and then it was just fucking garbage littered everywhere. Yep. It's like, you guys are marching, preaching one thing, and then this is how you leave the shit after. Like, and
again, with the marches, like, I know a lot of people frown upon it because it's directed at kids, and I know I've even seen Facebook page, like, posts on my personal page about people, like, about kids, like, using it as an excuse to skip school. Mm-hmm. And, like, I know for a fact that if I was in school, I would totally use that as an excuse.
I would have jumped on that 100%.
Yeah, but I know, but it shouldn't take away from the kids that are there for the actual cause. I just think we can continue to pick everyone apart. The thing is like, Greta, or whatever stance you stand on, like, whatever you believe, at least these people are standing for what they believe in. At least they are doing something. Whether it's effective or not, they are doing something. I value that, and I really appreciate that. And that's why I think with Greta, whether she's a pawn, whether she is truly, I don't know. I can't not support that. I support her. I may not support her message. I think that's fucking awesome. And I look at her and I mean, she speaks to the little kid in me, right? Like, not having, like, she has the courage and the balls, and she has the bigger balls than most politicians out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's just freaking doing and fighting for what she believes in, and I think that alone is, like, a big message.
Yeah.
Like, not with the climate change and all that. Like, she carries an amazing message, and that's something for me with Zyla that I would love for her to see that. Like, I think it doesn't matter if she's right or wrong. It's the fact that she believes in what she believes, and she's going after it.
Yeah, no, good for her. And I agree on that, too.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go over a few other climate predictions that I found on here. So this article is from Competitive Enterprise Institute. It says wrong again. So it says 50 years of failed eco-apocalyptic predictions. And it's just basically scientists and people throughout the years having these kind of same predictions, and just shit never actually happening. So This one's
What is apocalyptic anyways? Like, what does that mean? When I think, I'm like, oh, zombies.
well, yeah, basically the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, okay.
So this one's already too late. Dire famine forecast by 1975. What do we got? Foe of pollution sees lack of time. And this just goes on and on with these different scientists and researchers coming up with theories and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to take away from what Greta is saying, but I'm just saying it's not so life or death in the next 10 years. I feel, again, it's just a big fear-based thing, and it's kind of the movement that's happening right now. Mm-hmm. And again, this is just my opinion. U.S. scientist sees new ice age coming, right? So it's just... This is nothing new, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's just what the internet has done for us now is with this shit is it makes it go crazy.
I actually just had a memory. I remember when I think I was like 9 years old, and I remember we were sitting in the living room with my dad and his girlfriend and all that, and we were talking about the end of the world. And I think it was predicted like 2 years from then or something. I can't remember what the year is, but I remember being in such fear, and like I couldn't understand why all these adults were sitting around talking about it. It was like no big deal, and I was terrified. Like I was like running it like a movie in my head, like what was going to happen, what was going to be like, and how was I going to make sure I was with all my family before it happened. And I think that's something too to be very aware of, is being how we're talking about it around kids.
For sure.
I think that's because it traumatizes us. And I remember too being in high school talking about it in science, and I think we have a responsibility to our kids. Like I think we should, it's not that we shouldn't talk about it around them, but I think we should be very careful and make sure, I don't know, like I can
well, because
see
I'm sure
where
there
Greta's
is
coming from.
But and then I can see what you're saying. Like there probably is tons of kids going around now. Well, and I just I read another article about suicide. Some kid fucking killed himself, claiming, "Oh, climate change is gonna die." And I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, what are we putting into these kids? Like,
we need to take good care of. That just seems like, to me at this point, with everything in this world, the news, everything, it just is a lot of noise, a lot of distraction. And I feel like that's what the government does want. I feel like they're doing an amazing job at that. It's a good job at turning us off from ourselves. It's keeping us disconnected from our hearts and like what we believe, right? And again, I believe that we have all the answers that we need within ourselves. So it's like getting quiet. But how the hell can we get quiet with all of this? And like, we're constantly being judged, that no one, I don't know if the people that are fighting for whatever they're fighting for really know what they're fighting for. And they really believe it. Because sometimes I'm like, I have all these opinions, but I'm like, I don't know if these are my opinions or if it's social media. Like, did I read this somewhere?
Or passed down from your parents?
Yeah. So it's like, I just don't trust my thinking. I have to drop down and go into how I'm feeling, because that's the only thing that I know that is mine. No one can create, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not a good politician. I'm not good at that shit. Like,
and you know what? Everybody love everybody. Like, that's why we fucking named our podcast this. Like, you know, we can all have our own opinions, and we're all meant to have our own opinions, but we don't have to hate other people because they don't believe the same opinion that we do. We can all get along. It's just time for everybody to grow the fuck up, I think. And
I agree.
Yeah. So you guys, thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you guys haven't subscribed yet.
Share with people.
Share, comment, do all that shit. We really want to start interacting with you guys. It would mean so much to us.
Please remember to be kind to one another with this stuff, especially these things. Like, there's no need, like, you're just adding to the bullshit if you're attacking someone for their opinions. I give them, whether it's right or wrong, I still have to give them an applaud for being honest and share, like, having the courage to actually like open up and share that, because everyone knows how fucking scary that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on that note, we out.